what holistic education means to you and how it applies to highly sensitive and gifted children.
Holistic education is, to me, an approach that nurtures the whole child, mind, body, and spirit. If you ask kids right now what they want to do when they grow up, they say superhero, or they say doctor, or they say astronaut. Yeah, they are going to be a superhero because they're going to go out and make the world a better place with the tools that they have. You need to know, does my child thrive on routine and predictability? Or does my child really need to walk their own path and do things on their own schedule?
What does listening to your child look like? What would you tell a parent to look for?
Do not overschedule your children. I really, truly believe that they need downtime.
Welcome to Noetic Alchemy, where ancient wisdom meets modern day life. I'm Sophia West, your guide on a journey to awaken, inspire, and empower. Together, we'll explore the mysteries of the universe, dive deep into the realms of Atlantis, and ignite the spark of light within. In this space, we'll uncover tools to navigate today's challenges by aligning with harmony in a world of shifting energies, transcending the illusion of division, and cultivating inner peace amidst collective transformation. We'll cover topics such as grounding practices to harnessing biophotonic light, from the art of sacred self-care to decoding the spiritual shifts of our time. This is your sanctuary for enlightenment and empowerment. Be sure to subscribe and join our growing community of light seekers and change makers. Together, we'll rise, evolve, and illuminate the path forward, one conversation at a time.
Welcome to Noetic Alchemy, a space where ancient wisdom meets modern living and energy science. I'm Sophia KeyRaphael West, and here we explore the hidden dimensions of healing, consciousness, and transformation. In each episode, we'll journey into the everyday lives of people from diverse backgrounds and how they integrate practices like energy facilitation, Reiki, chakra balancing, quantum field work, and root cause therapy, always with the intention of helping you awaken your inner light and embody your highest truth. This is more than a conversation. It's an activation. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into the field of Noetic Alchemy. Now, today we have Amy Marotz, who has her master's in education. She's the founder and director of the Awakening Spirit Homeschool Collective, AWS. It's a holistic micro school in Stillwater, Minnesota, dedicated to supporting gifted and highly sensitive children. I visited there. It's absolutely amazing. And she has over 2 decades of experience in education. Amy has created an environment that nurtures the mind, the body, and the spirit of every student. Her approach integrates self-directed learning, mindfulness practices, and outdoor education to empower children to thrive academically and emotionally. Amy's passionate about fostering educational experience that honor each child's unique learning style. And she works closely with families to ensure a personalized and enriching learning journey for every child. So, Amy, it's a pleasure to have you here today. To start, could you briefly share with us what holistic education means to you and how it applies to highly sensitive and gifted children?
Thank you. Thank you first for having me on today's podcast. It's an honor and a privilege to be here and just share some of the wisdom and knowledge and direction that I've been heading. Holistic education is, to me, an approach that nurtures the whole child, mind, body, and spirit. It is really about finding a balance that allows children to learn in ways that resonate with them as individuals, focusing on not only their intellect, but their emotional and physical needs, especially for highly sensitive and gifted children like the ones who are coming into the world today, who you all know in your lives. This means providing an educational environment that respects their autonomy. It respects their emotional depth, their intellectual curiosity, and their unique ways of engaging with the world. It's different than it was when we were kids. So holistic education itself isn't just about academics, but it's about fostering that emotional resilience and creativity and sense of belonging that's going to allow these children to be productive, whole members of society.
I love this because I was just having a conversation with someone the other day, and I don't think that any of us in traditional education can look back and see that there wasn't one trauma point in our lives, something that happened to us while we were at school that just didn't feel safe or didn't feel right, or we felt alone. And then we went home, we didn't have anybody to talk to, because our generation was the generation where you didn't share those kind of things with your parents. So I love the fact that you're holding the safe space for these children.
That's my job, is to hold the safe space, and parents' jobs and guides' jobs. What we need are adults who know who they are and who can really center in on that. So it's all about empowering children to recognize their own voices and live authentically, and not have to spend these adult years searching for what lights them up and what they need to do in their sole purpose. They're on it. They know it. If you ask kids right now what they want to do when they grow up, and they say superhero, or they say doctor, or they say astronaut, yeah, they are going to be a superhero, because they're going to go out and make the world a better place with the tools that they have.
Exactly. From my line of work, I see the adults who didn't have that opportunity, that weren't supported in a safe space, that are healing from the traumas of what happened to them. So the children that come in contact with you and with a holistic approach to healing or education, they won't go into life trying to figure out who they are or what happened to them in order to be able to start their life as an adult. They'll already have that and be able to go into the world and hopefully create a better living space for all of society.
For everyone.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So my next question is, finding the right educational environment for a child, especially one who's highly sensitive or gifted, can really be challenging, especially if someone doesn't have you in their backyard, So can you share some key strategies that parents might be able to use to identify, educational harmony for their child?
Sure. Well, let's first just back up and define highly sensitive. So according to Dr. Elaine Aron, who is the author of The Highly Sensitive Child, approximately 20% right now of all living beings in whatever species they are have more neural wiring in their brain that's firing all the time. So they're highly sensitive. They're sensing changes in their environment. They're sensing the wind changing. These are the deer that are going to survive because they notice the twigs breaking before the other deer do and they get out of there. When we're humans and we're existing in this world in 2025, it can be evolutionarily disadvantageous to be in a huge classroom setting where you have fluorescent lights flickering and you hear lockers banging in the hallway and you hear somebody else fidgeting over here and doing this and doing that. So a highly sensitive child isn't necessarily somebody who emotionally breaks down at every moment in time. It doesn't mean your child cries all the time. They could, because that could be their response to being overstimulated. Or so you have the kids who freeze, who just kind of stand there and wait. You have the kids who fight, who are the ones who, their nervous system gets overstimulated and that's their response. You have the kids who cry, right? And then you have the kids who will just just refuse to do anything. So that also is something that you need to understand. How does your child react to the stressful situations? Are they overwhelmed with that too much sensory input? Are they academically gifted, where they need more challenging material to stay engaged? A lot of times, if kids are disengaged, it could be because they're simply bored. They don't need to hear it 8 times. They can do it after hearing it once time. So what you have to do is really tune in, listen to your child, observe how they interact with different environments, and pay attention to their signs of stress and joy. And then you have to take a look at what your options are. So you have the public school system, right? Which it might be a perfect fit for some kids. Not a problem. You have private schools that come in a wide variety of religious private schools, secular private schools. You have private schools that focus on academics. You have private schools that are, like I said, more of a religious base. You have a micro school, which if you haven't heard of yet, is just a really small private school. Normally it's under 25 children. Homeschool collaboratives or collectives like ours, where every family is homeschooling legally with the state, but the kids gather together a certain number of days of the week for either enrichment or support. And then, of course, you have a homeschool, like a traditional homeschool option where you are your child's main guide and teacher, and you can choose to add in, depending on your state's laws, as many enrichment types of things as you have. So it's almost too many options. So what you have to do is you're looking for a balance between structure and flexibility for your children. You need to know, does my child thrive on routine and predictability? Or does my child really need to walk their own path and do things on their own schedule? So at our school, what we do is we can create individualized learning plans. We have a rhythm that goes through the day. So we have time for everybody to work on their math, time for everybody to work on their reading. Kids are all leveled independently. We support the families in whatever curriculum they want to use. And then I and my fellow guides act as almost independent tutors. So when kids have questions, they'll raise their hand and we go over and answer it. So we have that time. We have a main lesson time where everyone is learning the same thing. For example, my first graders learn Shakespeare right alongside my eighth graders because it's not about remembering every single plot point. It's about learning how to learn and how to enjoy learning and how to find information that you don't know how to find. So if your child loves literature or loves science, but maybe struggles with math or something else, you're going to incorporate more of the things they love in order to get them that love of learning. And then you slip in the things that are harder, because we do need to practice things that are hard. There's no reason to I can't think of any other phrase rather than beat a dead horse, which is a horrible phrase, but there's no reason to continue to pile on things to a child that are stressful. We have to present things in a way that they can take and make their own and have that autonomy.
So it actually sounds like what you described is the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Like the parent worked with you and the individualized learning plan that you're creating for the child, and they're homeschooled, yet they're still having socialization, which is a huge part of education as well, correct?
It is. However, I would caution anybody to get too wrapped up in that socialization world, because a lot of times families who decide they want to homeschool, that's the big pushback that they get from extended relatives. Oh, but what about socialization? So let's define what that means. Socialization to me means that you're able to interact with humans of all ages.
Okay.
And so that's what we're getting here, as opposed to socialization in a traditional sense would be, oh, well, your child doesn't know how to sit in a classroom for 45 minutes without moving with only kids their same age and take instruction from one person. So as long as, yes, socialization is important, but you can get socialization going to the mall. You get socialization going to the zoo and interacting and asking the volunteers about the different animals. So there's a lot of ways to get that socialization aspect. I think that's something parents worry too much about when they decide to start doing a non-traditional path. And I would just encourage them to remember that all life is socialization.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for that. So I guess I hear the key takeaway is that parents just really need to listen to their children. And by listening, does that mean just hearing them? What does that mean? What advice? I mean, I know that you've outlined what they would do, but how does the parent who is struggling right now saying, I know my child's not happy, we're not happy, the house isn't happy because they're struggling and I don't know how to navigate that because society and the way we've been brought up says they have to fit into that box of going to regular schooling. So what does listening to your child look like? What would you tell a parent to look for?
So number one, you're going to sit down and talk to your child. And this isn't when they're having their refusal moment. When they're in the midst of, I can't do it, I don't want to go, that is not the time to sit down and talk to your child. You have to wait until everybody's regulated, maybe after a meal or during a meal or after some fun activity that everybody has enjoyed, and say, hey, I know that it's been hard. I know it's been a struggle. Can we explore that? And kids aren't necessarily going to be able to name their emotions. And you want to be careful not to give them emotions or tell them what they're feeling. But if they can kind of explain to you, sometimes I'll ask, what does your body feel like when this happens? And maybe they can say, oh, my stomach just gets hard. There's a rock in my stomach. Or I feel like a pop bottle that just wants to explode. And you can use that imagery and visualization to kind of say, okay, well, what happens when let's do the pop bottle. If your pop bottle is all shooken up and it just sprays out everywhere, and that's no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to school. What would help release some of that pressure? Being at home, having us help you with homework. If that's not a possibility, because I know all families are different, everybody has different work schedules, what would help you release some of that pressure? Maybe it's less scheduled activities. Do not overschedule your children. I really, really, really truly believe that they need downtime. And they might say, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I want to sign up for this. Jenny is doing soccer and swimming and everything, and I'm not doing anything. Well, you know what? I advise my parents, pick one activity, especially when the early years, one activity that you want to explore. And you're going to commit to that for whatever time period that is. If it's soccer for the 6-month period, you're going to go to that because we have to learn that if we make a commitment, then we're going to not let our team down, not let our coaches down, go to the practices, but then give them the option and actually talk to them at the end of that 6 months. How was that? Was that enjoyable? Was that not enjoyable? Would you like to continue? And if they say no, then honor that and let them try something else. Don't need something scheduled every night of the week. Parents have been trained to say a busy kid is a kid who's not getting into trouble. A busy kid is also a kid who is stressed, overstimulated, has no downtime to integrate the energies that they're dealing with all day as a highly sensitive person.
All of that, such beautiful wisdom, because one of my questions was going to be like, how many parents, realistically, in the moment that the kid's having the meltdown, is going to be able to calm themselves down enough to say, we're not going to talk about this right now. We're going to let the meltdown happen and we're going to wait till later. But that's exactly what they need to do. They need to, like you said, they need to wait till later, because it's never the best case practice to bring something up when the person is having the exposure of the issue.
I was taught by a woman in Minnesota who has a really cool company that focuses on helping parents with kids' behaviors. It's called Behavior Best. She has this light switch metaphor. And she said, when your kid's melting down, their light switch is off. There is zero way that the circuit of information is going to get through to them because it's off. You have to wait until their light switch is on and they're receptive. So that you just have to, the self-regulation thing is the most important thing to do at that point in time.
And isn't it interesting that most of the parents today come from dysregulated households where we don't know how to regulate ourselves. So that's really hard. So, but it's a great analogy and great visual, so that hopefully parents out there, you guys can take this home and go, take a deep breath, know the light switch is off, and know that it's just going to present itself a later time that we can talk about it. So that's beautiful. So thank you for that. Thank you for those visuals and those tips for parents, because that's something that I wish I would have had. I raised two back in my early 20s, and they're in their 40s now. And now I have a 19-year-old that I certainly thought that I was going to do it all right. But I still I've got to fix this in the moment. And that tip is beautiful. We just can't fix it in the moment. We have to have patience. And that's really hard for some of us. So again, thank you, Amy, for that. So now that we've talked about finding educational harmony, and what are some practical ways that parents maybe can create rhythms and routines at home to support the highly sensitive and gifted child, give them the best foundation for whichever school they go to?
Key for this is it's not only going to support your child, it's going to support you.
Oh, good.
So establishing routines, right? It's a great way to provide that stability that kids need, which is especially important for intuitive and highly sensitive children, because again, they're taking in all of these changing things. They need home to be as stable and soft and calm as possible. So for example, you could start the day with a grounding routine that could include a few minutes of meditation or stretching or just a quiet breakfast. When my daughter was young, we would light a candle on the breakfast table. And that was just kind of a part of the day and a signal that this is our time to be here. And then that was her big job, was she gets to blow the candle out and bring her plate and dish to the dishwasher. And every day that was her little routine and job. It can help ease into the day without feeling overwhelmed. Again, having a routine, weekly routine even. Monday is the day that we do our laundry. It's always laundry day. Tuesday is the day that we clean the bathrooms, whatever that is. And kids should be involved in all of those household tasks because they're watching you do it and they're modeling. That's a huge learning opportunity. Ending the day. Now, this is my nugget that I'm really sending out there that's helped my kids so much. A lot of times, highly sensitive or really deeply intuitive kids have a hard time at night falling asleep because they're processing everything that happened during, even if it was a good day, they're processing everything that happened during the day. So what we started doing was a candle routine. Again, candles are super simple, super powerful. They tap into this ancient kind of human memory that we have of being in a community and being safe around a fire. So what we would do is we would do our routine, brush our teeth, wash, whatever we're doing, go get into bed, read our story, and then we would light the candle. Actually, we'd actually light the candle before we read the story. Light the candle, read the story, then turn the light off, but the candle's still on. So there's this transition time. Then we would say our prayers, sing a song or whatever, and then the child gets to decide when to blow the candle out. So they have that power. They've had their nervous system has had time to regulate, to calm down with that flickering fire. They blow the candle out and it's safe and everybody's good. So that is like the number one thing I always tell new parents: candle at bedtime routine. Once the kids are old enough to blow it out, that's what they do. And just creating those sensory friendly environments at home. Minimize noise, minimize bright colors. Honestly, if you have a child who's very easily highly stimulated, just put the plastic stuff behind a curtain or in a cupboard and just have things out that are natural wood or calm colors. It'll make you feel a lot better too. I got to the point where I even went out and bought, because I don't like words everywhere. My mind just starts taking that in. I'm also highly sensitive, spoiler alert. My mind starts taking in all of the words and I start thinking about what the shampoo bottle says in the morning, and then I get off. So what I did was I went out and bought one of those really cool hotel dispensers. So I just put my shampoo in the little dispenser. There's no words. I am able to just go in, have a spa-like shower in the morning, and not get sucked into worrying about all of these other things during the day. So it's just about taking a moment, looking around yourself as if you're a child and say, what could be distracting? What could be jarring? Turn the TV off. Adult news, adult information does not need to come into your child's space at all. If you need to watch the news, do it at night. Some families go as far as to put a cloth or something over the TV during the day, just so it's not there. I'm not saying kids can't watch TV or media, but it needs to be controlled by you, and it needs to be conscious. Not just to turn on this channel and leave it on all day, because you have zero idea what's going to come in.
It's true. I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. So within this framework that parents start to set up with their kids, do they need to be rigid with it, or should flexibility enter into the situation?
You need to be flexible because life is up and down and back and forth. And sometimes you head backwards for a little bit before you keep going forwards. So be flexible, be gentle. Always try to keep your kid's perspective in mind. You're trying to figure out, it's not controlling the situation. You're figuring out how to shape an experience for them, which sounds really hard. But once you start thinking in that perspective, for example, my son would be super emotional if he hadn't eaten.
Mm.
My husband and I learned if my son had a temper tantrum when he was 2, 3, it was our fault because we hadn't fed him at the right time. We'd look at each other and go, oh, when's the last time he had a snack? Oh, shoot, this is on us. Would we still expect him to, we would take him out of a situation if he was being disruptive. We would remove him, but he wasn't in trouble. He needed to eat, sit, regulate. And then we may have a discussion depending on whether you may not throw toys when you're hungry. I understand that you are frustrated. Next time, I will make sure that you eat so that you feel better. We need to remember that your body needs food and that's our job as parents, is to make sure that our kids are set up for success. So yes, flexibility is key. However, you need to maintain the skeleton of the schedule so they know what to expect. Because if all of a sudden you've been too flexible and, oh, wait, we're not doing this because this is happening and then that happened yesterday. And now your whole schedule has just kind of flown, which happens sometimes. But when you're a parent, you need to really, really focus on keeping that structure, which is why I like calling it a rhythm instead of a schedule. Because morning breakfast could take 30 minutes or it could take 60 minutes, but it's still the rhythm of breakfast first. Then we go outside. Then we do math. Then we play. And just keeping that rhythm is important.
It's interesting. I saw in my mind's eye, like the framework, instead of being a rigid glass that holds water, being more like a balloon.
That's beautiful.
You still have something that's holding that space, but you're holding space with flexibility. And I love what you said about, if you want to call it a meltdown or the temper tantrum when he was hungry, because how many of us, myself included,
I do it.
I do that. I mean, I don't do it as much as I got older, but before, I would tell all of my friends, I need to eat and I eat now because I'm going to lose it. And actually my 19-year-old does that to me now. She'll say when we're in the car, I need food or I'm going to crash out. So how great is that
powerful.
We have that awareness, right?
So powerful.
But a 2-year-old doesn't have that awareness yet. So,
no.
And so as parents, the flexibility is definitely encouraged for sure. And then what do you do with, movement? Does the physical aspect of, I know you talked about some of, good, great. So you talk about that. Can you talk about what they need to do?
And for kids, movement is play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scheduled sports things, yes, that's movement. And that's important. However, just getting their whole bodies moving throughout the day. Don't wait until 4:30 on Saturday to go out and do something. Whether it's outdoor play, letting kids climb trees, let them take risks. You're there, make them aware. Don't say don't fall. Whatever you say is going to happen. So you would say, does your body feel sturdy on that? Do you have 3 points of contact right now? Which is another thing it's hard. It's one of those shifts that is one that's hard to make from when you have little ones and you're like, oh, be careful. Instead of be careful, it's keep your body strong. Is your core, are you squeezing your core? Like give them the positives instead of the negatives, because as soon as you say, watch out, don't fall, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah. I love this. And you know what I would love for you to do? I think you need to write a book. You need to write a book that tells parents these things before they become parents.
There you go.
Because what do you say to your children? How do you say things to your children? Because that is, we're not taught that. We are not taught to ask the questions. We're taught to tell them what to do. We're not taught to empower them with their own thoughts by engaging in, the imaginary or the imagination of answering a question the way they feel like answering the question, not the way you're telling them to do something.
Right.
But how cool would that be?
That would be really cool.
Really cool.
Maybe that's next chapter, right?
I love it.
The other thing that's really easy to add in, if you notice that your kid is starting to, I call it bubbling, like getting, like the energy is getting bubbly and they're ready to move. Take a dance break. Turn on the music on your phone. Like, you don't have to go outside to get movement in. Especially, I'm in Minnesota. We have half the year where we do gear up and get out, but there are some days where it's cold. So put the couch cushions on the floor and play The Floor is Lava. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to be a kid with your kid. You don't have to be the parent. Now, you also don't have to entertain your child 100% of the time, which is hard, especially if you have an only child. But they need the freedom and the flexibility to live in that imagination and be there and create in their minds. And when they have parents directing play, it's harder. So if your child comes to you and says, I have an ice cream shop, do you want to buy my ice cream? 100%. But if your child comes to you and says, I'm bored, what are we going to do? The answer is, I'm not sure.
I love that because, when, all the years we've done camp here, there were rainy days and we would be doing indoor activities. And even during indoor activities, kids would still get bored. And I can remember doing silly things to engage them, like, let's all get up and just do the wave or, whatever you need to do to get, even when I was a substitute teacher, I would do the same thing in school, in regular school. I would have to do the wave. And the interesting thing about that is it not only makes the kids feel better and it shifts the energy of what they're feeling, it made me feel better. I was engaging with them. I was laughing. I was having fun. And so it brings the relationship full circle. And it also allows us to get in touch with our inner child, which is really important when you deal with children.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Another question. I know that since I visited your school, I know that you have beautiful property and a lot of your work is out in nature. What's the role of nature and mindfulness in a child's development? Because not everybody has a beautiful location like you do, or like we have here when children come visit. What do you feel?
Nature is the incredible healer for highly sensitive children. When they're in an artificial environment, so a building, a city, a school, the sensory input that they're taking in is also artificial. It's the lights, it's the computer, it's, things that are happening around them that are mechanic. When they're out in nature, there's also a lot of sensory information happening, but it's natural and it's organic. And you can feel, they can feel, I can feel, we can feel the energy from the living things around us. So being out and forest bathing, which is just a fancy way to say go sit in the woods, just is so important. And if you're in a city and you have access to a park or just a little spot of green, go there and sit and ground on that green. Bring plants inside. I have plants all over my classroom because it's so important that kids, even unconsciously, are making connections with these living things and are learning to care for them and are learning to love them. Animals, too. Like if you're in the city, you don't have access to nature easily. Number one, make it a priority to hop on whatever public transport it is to get to a space where you can be and ground. But number two, bring some of that inside. I mean, I even have branches and sticks everywhere inside because even though they're currently not living, they still carry the energy of being, part of Mother Earth and being here and letting us connect and heal and settle. It's so regulating. And just to breathe air, even like I said, there's a book, it's a Danish book. The point is there's no such thing as bad weather. There's only such thing as bad gear.
Yeah.
So
bad weather, bad clothing, or
bad clothing, right?
Bad apparel choices.
Go outside, right? Even if it's just 10 minutes. I mean, you hear about the Nordic babies who are outside sleeping in the fresh air because it's so good for us to be out there and breathing in. And I'm sure there's a scientific reason for that. But I just know it feels good.
That's why a picnic feels so good outside.
Yes.
Right? Going and sitting on the ground on a picnic blanket, eating.
Absorbing the vitamin D, absorbing the sun. Sunshine is so important. Yeah.
So, Amy, this has been so insightful. So, as we wrap this final phase of our interview up, what piece of advice, what really golden nugget would you give to parents who are seeking harmony in their educational approach for sensitive and gifted children? I know that you have a lot, but I'm asking you, if you were to be able to give one beautiful pinpoint advice, what would that be?
Trust your child and trust yourself as their guide. They were brought into your family specifically, however that happened, for a reason. And it's because you are their best and first teacher. And so even if you end up sending them to a traditional type of education or a micro school or a homeschool, know that you are still their first teacher and that you have the power to empower them to succeed.
I love that. And because I tell you, I don't know if anybody else out there wants to raise their hand with me, but so many times I doubt myself as a parent. Like I'll sit back and go, ooh, did I do that right? So trusting that everything that we do is coming from a place of love as their guide is truly important. And knowing that, yes, we're going to make mistakes, right?
We are. That's just humanity, right? We will make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, you say, I am so sorry. I handled this completely wrong. This is what we should have done. How does that feel for you?
Well, and I also love that, in your background too, I know you have your master's in education. I know you found at the school, but you're also a Reiki master practitioner and you've done quantum field work and root cause therapy and meditation and mindfulness and all of these practices that a lot of the facilitators that are watching and parents that are watching, you're an everyday person as a teacher and you're using these beautiful holistic things to engage in your work to just unconsciously just be that change, be that vibration, that force in the lives of these families. So that's so beautiful.
Well, thank you. And that's a big part of my educational philosophy is the guide is coming from a place where they're always learning.
Right.
I have to keep learning because otherwise I'm not a good model.
Why not? Right. Exactly. I love it. So thank you so much for being here. Gosh, what a shining light Amy is. And I'm going to put links in the podcast interview so that people, is it okay if they reach out to you to?
They certainly may. Yes.
Okay.
That would be just
great.
Fine.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. And I look forward to the book. I'm excited.
Okay. I'll get working on it.
Cause I have grandkids that are going to be coming more on the way and I'd really like those parents to know what they're doing.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right. Ciao.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Welcome to Noetic Alchemy, where ancient wisdom meets modern day life. I'm Sophia West, your guide on a journey to awaken, inspire, and empower. Together, we'll explore the mysteries of the universe, dive deep into the realms of Atlantis, and ignite the spark of light within. In this space, we'll uncover tools to navigate today's challenges by aligning with harmony in a world of shifting energies, transcending the illusion of division, and cultivating inner peace amidst collective transformation. We'll cover topics such as grounding practices to harnessing biophotonic light, from the art of sacred self-care to decoding the spiritual shifts of our time. This is your sanctuary for enlightenment and empowerment. Be sure to subscribe and join our growing community of light seekers and change makers. Together, we'll rise, evolve, and illuminate the path forward, one conversation at a time.